know him, you play him, you love him. But what if you could create the Now before we get started, here's a little backstory. I'm competing in the Pizza Jam, a game jam where the winner gets a free pizza. Also, I'm assuming that if you click on this video, you probably know what a game jam is. But for those who don't, it's a competition to create the best game with a given theme and a specific time limit. The one for this jam being 9 days. Too bad I only have 5 days. What happened to the other 4? Ignoring the little amount of time I have left, this jam actually has a bunch of different themes, of which I'm going for the theme No Entry. That's why I wanted to make a tower defense. Alright, with that out of the way, how are we going to do this? Well, to start, we need a clear picture of what the game's going to look like. The game's going to be 2D, pixel art, and filled with these little blobby guys. Say hi. Hello. Now, what do we need in the game? Well, there's the tower placement, the economy, enemy waves, and the control mechanic. Starting off with the enemy waves, I created this basic path system where an enemy will just travel through into a series of predefined nodes. This worked mostly well, and after cleaning up a few bugs, it worked perfectly in no time. Yo! It's just too easy! After finishing up the enemy movements, I decided to try and tackle the towers. I decided to start by making a simple shooting tower, the backbone of all tower defense games. First, I tried to get my turret to look at whatever enemy was first in line. I did this by creating a queue of all the enemies within the range of the turret. When an enemy entered the turret, it added it to the queue. If the queue wasn't empty, then it would shoot the enemy that was first. In addition, when an enemy died or left the range, it was cleared from the queue. This actually works pretty well, and I also gave the bonus of making it easy to add targeting height, meaning you can choose where/who in the queue is targeted. Pop quiz! What do you need to survive? A. Water, B. Food, or C. Shelter? Wrong! The answer was money. Using this objective truth of society, I created a basic economy. Now, whenever you kill an enemy, you get money. I connected this to the placement system, so now you need that money in order to buy things like tickets. Finally, it was time for the main story, the center of this game, the control mechanic. Basically, how it works is once you click on the tower, you get the ability to control it for a limited amount of time. I didn't set any fire rate limits, so it might be a little broken, but I'm sure that's fine. Lastly, I then added a control bar on top of whatever turret you're controlling to show how long you have left to control it, and how long you have to wait in order to control it again. Now that's all of the main mechanics done. So, still have to polish everything, and this is a tiny part of the game. The art. For the art, I started by making the track. After a little bit of trial and error, I landed on this side. I think it's a really nice aesthetic, kind of gives a cozy feel. Using the same style, I made a few blocks like flowers and materials. I knew I needed to add another tower to the game, so I created a classic bomb tower. I whipped up the design and started adding them in. I made the turret script pretty customizable, so I was able to pretty much just use that for the tower itself. The projectiles, however, needed a separate script. I couldn't use the base turret projectiles because, it's a bomb. So I made a new script that made it so when the bomb hits an enemy, it does this really cool AoE splash attack that damages other enemies nearby. This tower was definitely the strongest, so I made it cost a lot more. Because of the strong projectiles, you could have guessed that the no fire rate limit cooldown ability would be pretty broken. So to make up for this, I just made the ability that finish me. With 2 of the towers out of the way, I got to make more enemies. The first one was this blue guy. I just made him the base enemy and faster than health. After that, I added this green fellow. He's pretty slow but somewhat strong, and when killed, splits into 2 little babies, which are pretty easy to kill as long as you have enough juice. By now, most of the game was done, so I wanted to add a little bit of polishing before creating the last parts of the game. This involved clearing up a few bugs and making a smooth sway up to simulate wind. After that, I found this pixel art font and added it to all of the text. I felt that with only 2 towers though, the game wouldn't feel complete. So I added 2 more, a wall and a pile of spikes. The wall pushes back enemies, while the pile of spikes damages enemies that walked onto it. Both of these were track towers, meaning they could only be placed on the track and couldn't be controlled. Despite this, they could actually be used to create some pretty mean combos if you set it up right. Now it was time to make the final boss, the final enemy of the wall. I gave it the colors of all 3 of the other enemies and made it extremely takeable. The boss also spawns tons of enemies, meaning that you need to make sure you don't get overwhelmed. At this point, I only have a few hours left to finish up everything else, and I haven't even started on sound design. Knowing this, I quickly whipped up a soundtrack and downloaded 3 sound effects to add to the count. 1 hour left. There was still a few bugs and I needed to at least 20 to 30 minutes to exploit. 45 minutes left. I'm rushing. 30 minutes left. Alright, I need to export it now. 10 minutes left. Please finish exporting. 5 minutes left. I quickly set up the itch.io page and done. I submitted it in time. With my game done and dusted, all I could do was wait for the results. At the end of the voting period, I got, drumroll please, 31st of 72 games. Not too bad. I did also get 14th for personal opinion, and I think that in itself was a success. You can also play the game now using the link in the description, and that's about it, so see ya!